Hello everybody, it's Julia at the Highly Sensitive Tarot here, and I'm back today with another video, and this is another video response, and this is to Amy at Strength Reversed for her hashtag NonTarotTube. And I sat the other evening watching her video and just loved it. I thought it was a brilliant, fun idea, because obviously we all have lives, we all have other interests, and although we probably here on TarotTube spend quite a great deal of time watching each other's videos as well as recording our own videos, I'm sure that we all have many other things that we are interested in and that we watch also. I was just trying to think what Amy was talking about. She talked about all sorts of things, from loving watching planes flying, there was some health and fitness videos, but I think what really made me laugh was just how much she enjoyed watching cleaning videos, particularly watching a rug being cleaned, which I have to admit I have watched myself on occasion. There is something quite soothing about watching somebody clean things. And I think I'm also just hoping that somebody will show me some like miraculous easy cleaning thing, you know, some miracle cleaning thing that will, you know, only take me 2 minutes to do rather than an hour. But anyway, I don't watch many of those kind of videos, just very occasionally. That really did make me laugh. So for me, for what I watch when I'm not watching TarotTube, because I think I've probably said before, I don't have a TV license here in the UK, so I don't really watch a great deal of mainstream TV, you know, like BBC One, ITV, Channel 4, etc. I think most of my viewing is on YouTube, to be honest, and I've got, in my categories, I've got health and well-being, true crime, mysteries and unexplained, truth-seeking or conspiracy theories, and random stuff. So yeah, I'm not going to put any timestamps in this video because I'm hoping it won't be too long. And I will, in the description box, I will link everybody's channel that I talk about here today. So it'll be quite a long list of people that I will put in the description box. So for health and well-being, as you know, I've got some health problems, and so I'm always looking for things really that might help me physically, but I'm also a lifelong student of psychology and anything kind of holistic, psychotherapeutic. So yeah, I watch a lot of those kind of channels, but at the moment I'm watching a channel quite a lot by a lady called Rennie Ostertag, and her channel is called Nervous System Ninja, and she has a lot of really interesting little videos that really help you to sort of regulate your emotions and calm yourself down when you're feeling anxious or stressed out. And she also has some good little physical sort of exercises that you can do to you know, if you've got a lot of stiffness and pain and problems in your neck or your shoulders or your jaw, or you get a lot of headaches, all things that I struggle with. She talks quite a lot about those sort of things. So I really, really like her. She's quite a character as well. I also watch Autism from the Inside, which is a channel by a chap called Paul. And he's Australian, I think. He's not my favourite person in the world to watch, because he is quite autistic, bless him, but he does some really interesting videos, and just recently he's done quite a lot on high functioning females with autism, so they've been of interest to me. I watch Dr. Eric Berg, who many of you may have heard of. Actually, he's got a massive following on YouTube, like millions of subscribers. He's a very holistic, natural health practitioner who talks a lot about diet and disease, and particularly preventing chronic diseases. And he's really into keto eating. And while I can't go the whole hog with keto because I like my carbs, you know, it's really, really difficult. But I have taken on board many of his thoughts and feelings, his principles about eating. And he just has lots of very short, random, interesting little videos of helpful health tips, supplements, you know, nutritional supplements, herbs, all sorts of things that are really helpful. And I've learned quite a lot from him. And lastly, the other one that I watch quite a lot of is Academy of Ideas. And this is a channel that does an awful lot of psychology type videos. So they talk about philosophers, psychologists. They do an awful lot about Carl Jung. I've watched a lot of their videos on archetypes. They did a really good video on Stoic philosophers, which I really enjoyed. Nietzsche, you know, you name it really. Anything psychotherapeutic they discuss, and I really do enjoy their videos. Next category is true crime, and probably this is the, no, it's probably joint first actually of what I spend the most amount of time watching. And I have 5 channels that I watch a lot. I just love true crime, to be honest. Not that I'm interested at all in watching the misery of, you know, the victims and the families and, you know, the details of crimes necessarily, but I am very interested in the psychology of crimes. I always want to know why somebody did something, what made them behave the way that they did, what sort of childhood they had, what sort of experience of life they had, really what their motivation was for doing what they did. And I'm always particularly interested to watch videos where somebody's been arrested by the police, and the video will take you from the moment they are in the interview room being interviewed by the police right through to their prosecution. And I love watching how the police kind of break people down and get information out of them, you know, and people who you think sometimes at the start of a video will never confess, they'd never admit what they did, and they do in the end. And I just love that process really of watching a person unravel, I suppose. So the channels that I watch are Beyond Evil. I don't know whether some of these channels are English or American, but they're certainly relatable to all of us, you know. So there's Beyond Evil, which does some fantastic true crime stuff. Coffee House Crime, which is fairly new. He does some good tales. Danielle Kirsty, who I discovered probably several months ago, and you wouldn't think that I would like her channel or her videos, but because she basically sits, I guess, in front of a mirror and she puts on a full face of makeup, you know, with all the foundation and contouring and false eyelashes and God knows what, which is not something that I've ever been interested in. You know, when I was younger, I might have put a little bit of concealer on or mascara or lip gloss or something, but, you know, that's been about as far as I've ever gone with makeup, but she sits and puts this full face of makeup on while she tells true crime stories. And she's English, she's from the UK, and she tells a lot of crime stories from the UK that I really enjoy watching her. She's brilliant. I think she puts out a video once a week. And there's also JCS, Criminal Psychology, and they are one of the channels that you will see a video of somebody from when they are first arrested right through to their trial, I guess, and how they're dealt with by the police. And they really delve into the body language, you know, the techniques and the strategies that the police use to get these confessions out of people. And I just love it. I absolutely love it. I really do. And the last one that I watch is a channel, another English woman called Sophie. And she has a channel called Sin and Tonic. And she's one of the few people outside of TarotTube that I actually do communicate with on YouTube. I do leave her comments, and I think she's subscribed to my tarot channel, and we do chat a little bit. And she's hilarious. I love her. She's at university, she's studying, she's a mum. I think she has quite a stressful life, but she really enjoys once a week getting down her shed and recording videos, and she's brilliant at it. She's such a character, she's so unique. And her channel's called Sin and Tonic because most weeks she will sit there with a gin and tonic. She gets quite excited about gin and she tries lots of different gins, and she will sit there and drink a gin and tonic and tell her story. And I love her. I love her. My next category is mysteries and the unexplained, and I've got tons of channels here, absolutely tons. The first one is Can-Am Missing Project, which is a channel by David Paulides. He does Missing 411 videos. I think he's an ex-policeman, and he's been researching for years, decades I would expect, people that go missing in the national parks in America. And he's done a couple of films, he's written lots of books. The man is just fascinating, and I do have a little bit of a crush on him, I will admit. I have done for some time. I don't know what it is about him, but I love his channel. I love all of his work. He's a very authentic and genuine man, I think. Who else do I watch? GrahamHancock.com. I know that on Netflix there's recently been a series called Ancient Apocalypse, but I've read, I think on my bookshelves, I've got most of Graham's books, and have had for many, many years. I've followed his work. So yeah, I really like Graham Hancock, and he talks a lot about ancient civilizations and, you know, the possibility that our history is in large part a lie, you know, that there are many things that sort of don't add up. And I think he feels that there was another civilization around the time of the Ice Age. And I just love how his mind works, really. He's a very, very interesting man. I also watch Haunted and Abandoned Norfolk, which is a channel in the UK, and it's about the county that I live in the UK. And basically this person, this man, I guess, goes around Norfolk and he visits abandoned buildings that are reported to be haunted. He recently visited an abandoned mental hospital where I used to work and where I used to live for many years, and I had a lot of memories of that hospital. And he's actually another one of the few people that I do communicate with, that I will leave comments on his videos, mainly just because many of the places that he talks about I've visited or I'm aware of and I'm interested in and would like to visit. So yeah, so I really like that channel. There is that, another channel is that is impossible, I think it's called. That is impossible. I can't remember the name of the chap that runs the channel, but he basically just has lots and lots of random short clips of videos that the general public have taken and made of strange things that have happened to them, spooky things, ghostly things, monster type things, anything strange and unexplained really. He'll have a sort of half-hour video and it will just be full of short little videos that people have sent him, and that's sort of brainless TV for me. I just enjoy watching that kind of thing. There's Adrian Gilbert, who he's an author. He's a British man. He's an author, and I've got a couple of his books. I think there's one called New Jerusalem and The Holy Kingdom, and he talks about, again, an alternative history perhaps, and sort of various esoteric subjects, anything a little bit mysterious. He's a very, very clever and academic man. He does come at things a little bit from a Christian standpoint, I suppose, which I don't always enjoy, but he's done some really, really fascinating videos, so he's well worth a look. And I think lastly is Mr. Ballon, Mr. Ballon, Balllen, Mr. Ballon, Mr. Ballon, I'm not sure. You may well be aware of him. I think he's got 2 or 3 channels. I think he's on Facebook as well, and he does all sorts of things. He has a podcast, but all of his stories are about strange, mysterious and unexplained things from all around the world, and they can be anything from the sort of missing 411 to ghost stories to sightings of Bigfoot, anything, any random mysterious subject that you can think of. And I think he's telling stories that people have either sent him or he's researched and found elsewhere on the internet. So yeah, that's a lot of channels, isn't it? Next I have what many might think are conspiracy theory channels, but I think that they are truth-seeking channels. They are channels of people that I think are just awake and conscious and asking questions and questioning the narrative, and well, I'll go through them. There's a few. John Levi, for instance, he's a man who I think sold up his business and he bought himself a bit of land, I think in Arizona, and he's built himself a little house and he lives there with his dog, and he just goes out into the wilderness and questions things. Like he did a video the other day of about a mountainside or a cliffside, which when he dug into it he found bricks and evidence of a structure. And I think he's another person that believes that our narrative of our history is perhaps not correct and that there have been other civilizations. He talks a lot about the possibility of a mud flood, something that wiped out quite a lot of the world. Yeah, he's just a really, really, really interesting man. I don't always agree with everything that he says, but I love listening to him. And the same with Conspiracy R Us. This is another similar channel. I don't always agree with what they talk about, but I love the experience of listening to them. He recently has done a little theme of videos on the Nephilim, and he's a sort of person who, you know, he takes lots of things and it's like a jigsaw, and as he starts to put the pieces together, you start to see patterns emerging, I suppose, and strange coincidences. And I just love those sort of channels because they just make you think. They make you think outside of the box, and they make you question and be curious, and I think that that's really important. And then I have 3 channels that I watch that are possibly more about our day-to-day world now and politics somewhat, although I do steer away from politics to a large degree because, well, I just despair really of the politics in the world. So there's Russell Brand. I've always been a fan of Russell Brand, even back to his drug taking days when he was just out of control. But you know, he's a really, really interesting man, and I think he questions the narrative really well, and he talks about a lot of really interesting subjects, and he interviews a lot of really interesting people as well. There's also Sonia Poulton, who you may not be aware of if you live in America. She's an English journalist, and she again questions a lot of the mainstream media narrative. She will report on the things that other people won't. She is a strong advocate for children. She talks quite a lot about child abuse. Yeah, she has a lot of really good guests on. I really like Sonia Poulton. And lastly, We Are Change, and I can't remember his name. What's his name? We Are Change. Luke, I think. And I started following We Are Change a few years ago when he went and reported in Paris on the Yellow Vests protests. And I just thought he was so brave to get sort of mixed up in all of that, really. You know, he went out and he really got involved in and spoke to a lot of French people to try and find out why they were protesting and what it was all about. And he's another person that will report on things that the mainstream media won't, and he very much questions the narrative, and he's quite funny as well. A lot of the things that he reports on are quite funny, as is Russell Brand. Russell Brand can be hilarious sometimes. So yeah, that they are my I do watch some other sort of truth-seeking conspiracy type channels, but I thought they were possibly even too extreme for me to talk about here. You might just think I'm completely mad, but which I suppose even if you did, that it doesn't matter, does it? It's yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I think that's enough really to tell you about. And then my last little category here is just random stuff, and the first one is Takis Shelter, and this is a Greek man who about 7 or 8 years ago, he sold up his business and his life, and he bought some land in Greece and he opened an animal sanctuary. And when he started off, he was living in a container on his land, just him, with so many dogs and cats and sheep and goats, and gradually over time, as his charity has grown and people have donated to him, his shelter has grown and grown and grown, and I think he's got over 400 dogs. Excuse me, lots of cats, goats, sheep, all sorts of creatures really. And he's just like a modern day hero to me. He's just a fantastic man. He's so selfless and devoted to what he does. In Greece, their attitude towards dogs and cats and things is just appalling, really. In many areas, they will abandon, you know, animals because they're poorly. When they're fed up with them, they will tie up and chain up dogs in the middle of nowhere to protect a few olive trees or a couple of sheep or something. You know, they're really quite awful in their attitude towards animals, and I've donated to him a fair bit over the last few years, and I've even thought about volunteering and going over and spending some time in his shelter. But if you watch any of his videos, all you will hear is dogs barking. You know, the sound of dogs barking is so loud. I don't think my sensory issues would cope with it, but I always wanted to go over and look after his cats. He's got a beautiful area for the cats that's full of olive trees, and the cats sit in the trees, and I don't know, it's just the nicest shelter I've ever seen, and the man is a hero and he really does deserve people's support. There's Mr. BB333 that I watch as well, his channel, and he does all sorts of weather related things. So people send him in strange photos, strange videos of clouds, UFOs, strange things in the sky. He looks at the UV, temperatures around the world. He'll follow hurricanes, cyclones, any bits of severe or extreme weather he'll follow. But like I said, he also looks at anything that's odd, you know, anything that's strange. He's got some fantastic videos. I'd highly recommend you having a look at him. What else? 2 more channels. So the next one is Film Select Trailer. This is just a channel of trailers of films, of movies. I don't often watch movies or films. I find my concentration span often not good enough to sit or lay there in bed for a couple of hours and watch something, but I love watching trailers. Yeah, I just love watching trailers. So Film Select Trailer, great channel. And lastly is Bedtime Stories, and I don't know whether this is an English or American channel, I don't know, but it's fantastic. This person narrates a story, and they're often quite mysterious stories, but they're said in a lovely, soft, soothing tone so that you can listen to them at bedtime and not become sort of overstimulated. And the imagery in the videos is all hand drawn. I think they draw them themselves, and it's all drawn with pencil or charcoal or something, I'm not sure, but it's really, really very clever, and I'm a big time fan of Bedtime Stories. So there you go. That's I managed to do that in just under half an hour as well. That's not bad going. So yeah, that's everything pretty much really that I'm watching or thinking about when I'm not thinking about tarot. So, I hope that you enjoyed listening to that, and I hope that some other people will have a go at Amy's hashtag of NonTarotTube, because it's just so interesting, isn't it, to hear what people enjoy, what people are interested in. You know, we only get a certain sort of picture of each other from TarotTube, don't we? And there is much more to us than that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and I shall see you again soon. Thank you.